We'll just jump right into this with questions.
Yeah.
Hutch, get us going, please.
Hey Dave, it's good to see you.
You
Uh,
too. Thanks.
I'll start off with the most recent news with Parker Coyle. Just kind of, were you surprised at all that he's coming back, and just kind of what do you foresee his role being next year?
Surprised, no. Excited that he's coming back, obviously, yes. We were in contact with Parker a lot through this process, and he felt like there were some things here that he hadn't accomplished yet, wanted to do. Obviously, then he had to turn down some money, which he did. We got it worked out, and I think it was the Brewers definitely would have tried to sign him, and then they wanted to wait a little bit longer than he really wanted to wait, and they kind of deadlined him a little bit, kind of threw it back at him, and they wanted to wait a little longer. But if you notice from the 11th round on, except for Parker Coyle, they signed them all, and they signed five of them over slot. So we appreciate Parker coming back, obviously.
Is he a guy that you think is going to stay in the bullpen, or could he get a look at maybe potentially starting for you?
He'll definitely get a look at starting. I mean, that's up to them. I always say that. That's up to them. They got to just go show us. So it's what you can do. And I mean, we already know how good he is out of the pen. He can handle the heat. He can handle the pressure. He comes in, he pounds the strike zone, throwing that cutter, and he makes you swing. So if he can do that as a starter, that'd be great.
And then outside of Coyle, just kind of how do you feel about the draft and how you came out of that?
I mean, really nothing unexpected came out of the draft. I mean, super excited for all the guys that had an opportunity, and those that first day was exciting for us to watch because we knew those guys were going to get drafted. We knew they were going to sign. But when you have four guys going the top 41 picks, I mean, it was special. It was, proud moment for all of us coaches. I can tell you that, and I'm sure our fans in the state felt the same way because those guys were a huge part of our team, and they get a good paycheck, and they worked hard to earn that, and I think between the four of them, easily over 10 million in signing bonuses, and then obviously we had 11 drafted, but we also had two other guys signed free agent. Maxwell signed with the Yankees, had that deal done before the draft was over because we were sweating it out that he wasn't going to get drafted. We called him. He said, "Coach, I've already got a couple things going," so that was exciting. And then the same with Dylan Carter. Dylan had two or three teams that were wanting to sign him. So realistically, I don't know why they just didn't draft him, but we ended up having, I guess, 13 guys with an opportunity, and 12 of them went out. And it just shows a lot to our development, our culture here, and hopefully these guys will get a chance to play for as long as they want.
Matt, go ahead.
Hey Dave, hope you've had a good summer. Just kind of curious what the conversations are like with guys going in rounds 5 through 11, where there is maybe more of a possibility of them coming back to school.
Yeah, I'll start with the summer thing. Uh, Summer, there is no summer for us. It's we start school on the 18th of August. Uh, when you play all the way into Omaha, your summer gets real short, and we love it that way. Um, so I just call it's hot. That's what it is right now. There's no summer. But to answer your question, realistically, in a 20 round draft, if they get picked, they're probably gone for the most part. That means they probably have already got a deal done, or they've agreed on X amount of money before they get the team selects them. There's always a case or two where somebody gets drafted where they haven't talked to the team or the scout, which is rare, but that's happened, and it happened a little bit this year. So, talking to the kids a little bit, Justin Thomas was one that we didn't know, but you look at his kind of his path through college. He goes to Georgia, doesn't play much, goes to JUCO, does a good job, comes here, got off to a slow start, really played well. Three quarter or halfway through the season on, he was great for us. Had a big time appearance in Omaha at the plate. I think he got 8 hits, 9 hits in our games. And, we didn't know, but, eventually, they just come that they want to play pro ball, 21 years old, maybe a little older, and it's time to go. We don't really try to talk them out of it too much. We just listen to what they have to say when we talk about, signing or coming back. And I'm going to say 9 times out of 10, it's, yeah, if they get it close to what I'm looking for or what I'm looking for, I'm going to sign. So we knew the guys were gone. And we knew that, we're going to have a lot of new players and we're going to start over in a lot of situations.
Joe, go ahead.
Hey, Dave. Wanted to ask you about a guy you guys got through the draft that I'm sure you were sweating a little bit, Micah New, given how well he's played on the Cape. What has you most excited about getting him to campus?
Well, that he's athletic. I went out to the Cape and watched him play, and he had a really good night. I was concerned, obviously. Coach Thompson did a great job recruiting him. Um, I think Micah just wants to prove that he can play in the SEC, and he deserves to be a good draft pick next year. And we're excited to have him. He can play anywhere in the outfield. Obviously, he played infield last year, but outfield's what he wants to do. And, that's what he told me when I talked with him face to face. And I said, that's what you're going to do. And, but yeah, just getting him through, it gives us a lot of Division I at bats. He's confident and excited that he had a good summer. I called him about a week ago. I think it was the night before was his worst maybe day the whole summer, and it was kind of funny. But I just told him that's baseball. Things happen. Pitchers are good. They're going to get you. So, but he's had a really good summer out there.
Thanks, Dave.
Yeah.
Kevin, go ahead.
Hey, Coach. On the injury front, specifically Nolan Sousa and Carson Wiggins, how are those two rehabbing?
Yeah, they're both here working out. Sousa seems to be really upbeat. He looks good. Obviously, he can't throw or swing right now. I'm letting that thing stabilize more, but no pain. He's healthy. He feels good. He's ready to to get back and chomping at the bit. He'll be a big leader for us. He's got a lot of good leadership qualities, great work ethic. Off the field, he's awesome. Good in the locker room. So he wants to get back out there. I know that he's super disappointed that he didn't get to help us down the stretch and play in the regional, super regional, and then in Omaha. But he knows that this is a big year for him personally and for him helping the team achieve some of our goals. And we'll do whatever they tell us we're supposed to do as far as the doctors, and we'll bring him along. But physically and mentally, he'll be ready to go.
Thanks.
Jacob, or who?
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah.
But
Yeah, sorry, it's Evan. No problem, Oliver. I'm on Jacob's account. Hey, Coach. Hope you're enjoying the heat, as you call it, and maybe not summer. Curious, and it might be a redundant question. You've lost your outfield yet again. How do you feel with the team and the roster right now that you're going to be able to replace the guys like Maxwell, JT, and Chuck?
Yeah, this is third year in a row. I think we've lost 9 outfielders in the last 3 years, so it's nothing unusual. You start with somebody that was in the program, Brenton Clark. I mean, he's gone out and played for Santa Barbara, and he's getting after it. We had a really good talk before he left. I redshirted him last year. He's a left-handed hitter, just about what I think he should be doing in his game. And I think he needed to hear that from me, that I thought he could be good. But here's what you need to do. And he's gone out and done it. I mean, he's hitting like 350 with a wood bat. I don't know what he's, maybe more. They're probably going to win that thing out in Wichita. They've traveled out there. It seems like they do every year, Santa Barbara. But it's not just about the numbers. It's about what the coaches are telling us about him and how he's playing. So that's always exciting. And then obviously we brought in a few guys. Can't really talk about them too much or any. I don't think, but yeah, just it's wide open. And we went and got a couple of guys that have some experience, that have done some things, And, we get a couple of high school guys coming in, one for sure, one's a two-way guy, plays infield, outfield that we think can help us, but they're all athletic. And, I don't think you're going to see us in 26 hit 127 homers. But we will figure out what we have when we get here, and then we'll develop it and we'll try to beat you with what we have. And that's what we're going to do with the outfield.
And then I guess kind of similar question, but for the pitching staff, losing, Landon and Zach Root amongst others, especially with the starters, but having some of the young guys like Gibbler, maybe Gackle gets another shot. How do you feel that your pitching is as we head into the fall?
Yeah, Gack will definitely be a starter for us. I mean, I would, he's fine. Gibbler went out and just continued to get better this summer, really impressed a lot of people. I mean, he was supposed to play on the JV, so to speak, of the USA baseball team, and he got to play on the varsity and travel to Japan. That was a great experience, just for him and for his confidence. And right after the trip, he came back and he's been training here. And Fisher's had a good summer. One of the questions probably is Dietz coming back? Dietz is coming back. He went out to the Cape and he's starting to get it rolling. We got a couple other guys that are on the left-handed side, and then the right-handed side, McGuire went out and had another good summer. We just pulled him out of the Cape, and he's going to get back here. We want to keep him healthy. Steele Eves is having a great summer. They love him at the back of the pen out there. He's kind of that bulldog crazy. He'll jump in the pond, whatever you tell him to do. So Dossett, guy that you guys might have forgot about a little bit, he's been training his rear end off for a year now, and he threw a bullpen the other day, and they said he touched 94. And he's that's a Tommy John guy, and we're going to get him there. So there's other guys, transfers, guys in the program. I like some of the freshman arms we got, and pretty much, I would say 5 or 6 of the freshman pitchers came early, took some classes so that they can work out, so they can throw, and there's some good arm strength there, and there's pitchability with a couple of guys, and the other guys will get there. So, it'll be good to see these guys develop.
Thanks, Coach.
Daniel Shee, go ahead.
Good morning, Coach. How are you?
I'm good.
I guess specifically with Gibbler, maybe what's next for his development as he kind of transitions into a starter?
Yeah, he's we're trying to really develop a third pitch. Obviously got a great slider, an outstanding fastball, and just work on the changeup. And so, that's what's been going on a little bit. And so if you have 3 pitches, it's a lot easier to be a starter if you have 3 than 2. If you're a starter with 2, you must be incredibly good. But if he develops that, it'll really give him an opportunity to pitch, as a starter. So we'll see. And then you never know how this is going to go with all these guys. If the role is different in the spring, then maybe we try to develop in the fall. It doesn't mean they're not going to be a starter here one day, but it's, most of these guys were starters in high school, and we just use them where we use them to try to help the team win. And they're all team guys, and they're good. But yeah, definitely getting him ready to see if he can start.
And then I don't know if you can talk about, specific guys, but it feels like a lot of the incoming transfers that you brought in can play multiple positions, maybe have a little bit more versatility than you've had in years past. Is that something that you specifically look to do this summer?
Well, we needed to obviously get some outfielders, and we knew that. Maybe an infielder or 2. We did that. We'll see how that all turns out. Again, I like some of our freshman infielders. It's hard to say, yeah, you can have a freshman starting at this position in the infield because it takes a little time to develop there. But you never know. You never know how that's going to go. Sometimes you get them here and you're going, wow, they've continued to develop since we committed them, signed them. And now we look down the road 5 months, see if they'll be ready to play. But yeah, I would have to say that most of the guys that we brought in are guys that can play all 3 outfield positions. And usually you got guys that are corner guys, or a guy that you can say, yeah, you can play center. I feel like we got a couple guys that can play center. And, I do feel like there's a couple of guys that could move around in the infield, play different positions, and maybe an outfielder or 2 that could actually play in the infield, or an infielder that can play in the outfield. We did that with Caden Wallace few years ago when he was a freshman because we had a really good returning third baseman and there was a spot open in right. He jumped on it. He started pretty much all year, and then the next year he went back to third base and he was a top 30, 40 player pick that year. So it was good.
Jackson Fuller.
Good to see you, Dave. As far as Cahillo, I know he's playing in the outfield a little bit up in the Cape. How important is that for his development, for your team to add that layer to Cahillo's projections moving forward?
Yeah, a really good question. So we sent him out to play. He he uh, he played a lot of outfield. You probably haven't kept up with it the last few days, but his hands bothered him a little bit. I'm going to blame it on the home run derby. There's no bone broken there. I was a little concerned when I saw that it went into extra swing, so to speak, and the way he buggy whips that bat through the zone. There's a lot of force and stress there. So he's he hadn't been home since Christmas. So we said it's time for you to go home. And uh, yeah, that's the only update I have on it. That there's no broken bones, no hamate, but it was sore. I think the first game after the All-Star game, he was in the lineup and they scratched him. He didn't play the next day or the next day. What's wrong? Here we go. You're going home. So he got a lot of games in. When I was out there, I talked with their coaches about his defense. They said he really had gotten better and he was working at it. So hopefully, for him and the team, but really for him, that he can play in the field. And I really believe that he will be able to. He can really throw, and he's a really good runner, especially underway. Maybe not right out of the chute, but underway, he's a good runner. But it's really, for me, to see him go out there and swing the bat, get his confidence back, and hit like he has. It made a few adjustments, and it's worked for him. He had a good summer.
Vahiva made such a big jump from sophomore to junior year. I mean, are you like, obviously they're brothers, there's a lot of similarities. Do you envision like there are some things that maybe Cahillo can learn from Vahiva's path that he could maybe kind of copy some of those things?
I think so. I think any player should learn from other players that are talented, how they go about their business every day, their work ethic, the way they act and talk to the other players. You got to learn, and you learn by watching a lot of times. And then, Cahillo's situation, I mean, honestly, when you really look at it, you got your big brother doing all this great stuff and getting all this publicity, and then he's getting called into it too because they're brothers. I think he had to play under a lot of pressure this last year, in my opinion, and it was all self-inflicted, but it was still there, trying to keep up with Big Brother, and now he's going to be one of the main guys, and I think that he'll continue to be great, and I'm excited for what happens for him his junior year.
You mentioned these two guys, Tate and Steele. What have they done like this summer to kind of put up these great numbers, improve, and how much like confidence do you have in both those guys coming back and just being huge parts of the staff next spring?
Yeah, I think with Tate, it's just about keeping his velocity and locating just a little bit better. He's always been a good strike thrower. He's got good stuff. He just would make mistakes ahead in the count, and they would hit it. They would square it up, and maybe just going out and gaining more experience, obviously having more confidence, and just walk back in the door knowing you're a guy. You're a junior. It's your third year. Nothing's new. Let's get better and focus on that. Quit worrying or looking over your shoulder. Just go pitch and be a good leader. And I think we're going to get that out of him. And then with Steele, I mean, honestly, I had him passing by some guys in our bullpen at the end of the year. If we would have had a tight situation in Omaha, I had no problem pitching him. And if it didn't go well, I'd have no problem sleeping about, through the summer, because I knew his stuff was good. He worked hard and he deserved it. He's a no nonsense kid and he just works, and he loves being a Razorback, in-state kid. and he's gone out to summer ball, and they love him. I mean, they said they could pitch him everywhere, but he's been just nails at the end of the game. He throws that heavy ball, that sinker. He's been pitching 93, mid 90s. Got that slider, and the good thing about him, when he's not striking you out, he can get you a double play ball, and I like that a lot. So he'll be a big part of our staff. We just got to keep those guys healthy, like all of them.
Last one for me, Coach. Just to follow up on Nolan, do you envision he can participate in fall at all, or is it going to be a wait till winter and spring kind of thing?
Yeah, so he won't be able to swing the bat any live. I think before fall's over, it might be a situation where he can swing the bat, but maybe it's on with soft toss or just the same field. You can't get fooled and hurt yourself. I think he'll be able to get live at bats before the holidays. We'll have some of our pitchers throw live, say, November inside or wherever, and he'll start getting at bats there. He'll catch up with the bat. Obviously it's his throwing arm, throwing shoulder. That's my biggest concern. He's an outstanding fielder, tremendous range. As soon as we can get him throwing game speed, we will. He'll do all the drill work, the rehab. I'll have him in some of the defensive drills where he's just fielding. Maybe the drills where there's not much chance of him falling and hurting himself, so to speak. If I get permission on that, I'll have him catching balls at double play balls, work on getting it out of his glove. Things like that, footwork. But the live scrimmage, live hitting, I don't think you'll see him this fall, but I guarantee you'll see him right in the middle of it. He'll be there every day. He'll rehab when we're not practicing because we want him to be there to see it and lead. And we'll do everything we can to get him ready to go by the beginning of the season.
Dudley, go ahead.
Hey, Coach, good to see you.
You did.
Did you feel, were you surprised that Landon Schaefer and Carson Brumbaugh got through, or did you know that? How do you feel about that freshman class coming in?
Feel really good about the freshman class coming in. In this new era of Division I baseball, college sports, or whatever you want to call it, man, if you can get good freshmen in your program that you can build around in the future, it's just the way to do it. We've said it, the Gackles of the world, Gibblers on the mound, those guys that that if they're healthy, they're going to help you from the time they walk in the door until they leave, hopefully after, when they get drafted. With Brumbaugh and Schaefer, I mean, they both could have signed if they would have had a number that was lower. Schaefer, it was probably a little more touch and go, athletic, can play infield, can play outfield. We're going to let him do both. Brumbaugh kind of in the same boat, tremendous arm. I mean, he could pitch for us if he wanted to. He could throw the ball 97 off the mound and, good defender. Again, with the freshman, it usually comes down to the bat. If you're going to play every day, you got to be able to hit a little bit. Obviously, they're going to hit. It's going to be, are they going to hit at this level? Even the great freshmen that have come through here have had streaks. I remember, and I won't mention the name, but we had a player a couple of years back that struck out 7 times in a row. And we just looked at him in the dugout, and I walked in the dugout, and I think everybody was waiting to see what I would say. It was in the fall. And I walked in, I said, "Hey, you're not the first guy that struck out 7 times in a row. It's just the way it is up here." And everybody busted out laughing because they knew I'd been counting, and everybody else had as well. And that guy ended up being an All-American, super high pick, and in AAA, big leagues, whatever, if he can stay healthy. But the young hitters, it's tough. You got to be able to hit that super hard slider, and you get pitched backwards at this level. You're not getting 3-1 fastballs anymore. You're getting a 3-1 slider or a changeup, and you're going to get probably the same pitch on if it goes to 3-2. I'm not going to get that heater that much. And but I'm really happy they got through. We have a couple other guys that one other guy that I know, there was one team that loved him, but he held strong and said, "I'm going to college. I love it here." He's already here working out, and he didn't even get picked. So it's good to see that.
Also, with the new roster cap, I'm guessing you had to have some tough conversations. Just talk about that element of things.
Yeah, it's tough. There was a little bit of a loophole with you get to take a few extra players. It's a 1 year deal, and I won't try to explain it, but we can have a few extra guys on the roster and they actually don't count, but they count, which you figure it out. They count, they can play, but they don't count on your 34 for 1 year. But yeah, there was some tough conversations. There's a couple of guys that once the draft was 100% over and we knew what we had coming in. I mean, because we didn't know if we were going to get decimated or not, but we got some guys through, and we just had to let them know. And they'd already been informed a little bit, or they knew they didn't have a great high school career at the end, or whatever the situation may have been. That the chances were slim and none, and let's do this now instead of at semester. Just really, in many ways, doing them a favor, believe it or not. But yeah, there were a couple of those, and it's difficult. The rules have changed the way things are. So, we feel good about the roster we have. You look at the transfer portal. There's some really good players out there, but maybe not as many, or a couple, three of those superstar guys that had really good numbers where they were pitching wise. We didn't get some of those guys. Other teams did. But we feel good about the guys we got.
All right, coming back around. Hutch, Matty B, and Daniel. Wrap it up, please.
Yeah, Dave, I'm curious, you had a shortstop committed out of the portal. Did you kind of have a feeling that he would probably sign professionally like he did? And then with that, how more important was it to get guys like Schaefer and Brumbaugh through the draft?
Yeah. I would have said I was about 90% sure he would sign if somebody picked him. Looking back on it, it's kind of comical. I mean, I said that in the middle of his visit to one of the coaches. I said, we can sign this guy, but he's not going to make it here. And he's a good player. I don't know if he'd have played short here, but he'd have played somewhere. But yeah, we pretty much knew that was going to happen. And so it makes it more important that we got some of these young, good defenders through that can challenge, and we might have another guy that I can't really talk about that's gonna be here, that they'll push for that position. We'll just let them fight it out.
And then also I wanted to circle back on a couple of timelines. Wiggins, I mean, is he a guy that you still think is going to be able to pitch for you in 26? And then also Dossett, is he a guy? Do you think he's going to be able to throw like during the fall and things like that?
Yeah, Wiggins, we hope he can pitch for us at the end of the 26 season. He's 2 year draft eligible, so he'll have a decision to make. If he doesn't even pitch, he's going to be a good draft. If he comes back for that junior year, I truly believe he's going to be early pick on day one, and he could really, really make a lot of. He could set himself up pretty good, but if we can pitch him and he's ready to go, we will. That'll be his call, the doctor's call, and we'll go from see how that turns out. Because you're talking maybe 13 months out then. But he's here working hard, looks great attitude. And I just hope that we get to see. I would love for him to pitch here a full year and see what he could do, because we saw him when he was healthy last year, and he could spin that breaking ball for a strike anytime, and it was nasty. And then you're throwing the ball in the upper 90s, and it looks easy. If he would do that here for a full year, it could be special.
And Dossett, you think is good for the fall, or?
So, yeah, I mean, I don't know if I've ever seen anybody work harder than him. I'll be honest. It's been all throughout the year. We're having a great year. I'm walking through there, heading to the field. Usually I'm the first one out on the field, and the guys, maybe the hitters, are getting some early work in the indoor or whatever's going on. And I usually cut through the weight room, and Dawson's in there just getting after it, and all the time. And we just kept winning, and it's going great. And you got to know that mentally he's just bummed that he's not out there. And he just kept working, and we see it. We're all pulling for him. I hope that he gets to pitch this fall. I would think that he's going to be able to pitch a little bit. Is he going to be able to spin a breaking ball and all that? I don't know, but he'd probably throw the fastball. But we'll see. I don't have the timeline in front of me, and I haven't been updated on it. that'll be things that we'll look into in the next couple of weeks. Right now, our official fall ball, we'll start official team practice early again, like we did last year. I think we're going to start on the 3rd of September and finish up, middle of October. That gives us 6 weeks in the weight room for Thanksgiving. And I think that's huge. I think it was big on our last year's team to get those guys in the weight room and do skill work. We'll probably be one of the first teams to start in the league, probably the first and probably the first off, but we're still playing a little baseball, but we're giving them a break mentally with the competition, but we're getting them physically stronger and mentally ready to play. And I think we're going to need to play a lot of different players on this year's team. I think it'll be a little bit different than maybe the last couple of years.
And last thing for me, I'm curious how you're going to handle, Souza and Coyle are both back. They're both second basemen. Like, do you anticipate Coyle playing some first again, or kind of how do you envision those guys kind of filling in the infield?
I don't really see Cahillo playing first base. I think Reese Robinette will play first. I'm not saying that he won't in a pinch. Cahillo's a really good infielder. Really the difference between the two is just range, and that's athleticism, taller, a little quicker. Cam's in his junior year, draft year. I think he'll be more of a third baseman pro prospect, but he can play second. Doesn't mean that he's not going to play second every day. I thought he was really good when he was there. So we're going to let that evolve. But you will see my infielders moving around in scrimmages, and I'll talk to him about that when we start. That I want them to be able to play. If most of the kids that you get out of high school, they're all shortstops usually. Very rarely are they, say, a corner guy. Caden Wallace was, but he also played some short. So they know how to play short. I want them to be able to play third. I want to be able to play second. I want them to understand what the other positions are going through when they throw the ball, first throw on pivot, on a double play. Just all the little things that make you better and then more versatile, and we'll see some things. So you'll see Cam play some third. Second, I doubt if you're going to see him play first in the fall. Obviously, Souza will not be playing much. If we get to the point where Souza can play in the field a little bit, then we will put him out there where he's not throwing. If he feels that you're out, catch the double play ball, we'll figure out. We'll time everything. But it's a good question, but it's not a problem at all. It's if you could throw the word problem in there, but it's a good problem to have.
Matt, you have anything? Not Daniel, go ahead. Daniel, all you.
Yeah, Coach. Less money involved than football and basketball, but there's a new GM that the Razorbacks hired. I'm just wondering with Remy Cofield, just what your relationship is with him, and how you're gonna deploy him, so to speak.
Yeah, it's still evolving. Honestly, great guy. Enjoy him. We kind of got it going what we need to do down here. So when there's contract issues or something, we talk with them. But as far as, speaking to agents or players or parents, we're handling that at the moment. And then if there's a contract issue or a contract needs to get drawn up or whatever, then we get Remy involved. So glad he's here.